That's the part.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't get to hear the intro. No headphones, no intro music. Welcome back, guys. Wednesday night.
Didn't your parents ever teach you anything, Caleb?
What are you talking about? You guys taught me everything I know. Thanks for making me dinner, by the way.
You're welcome.
Such as it is.
Mom and Dad made and packaged and delivered me my dinner.
Crinkle
tonight.
that by the mic some more. There you go.
But, you know, I was having just a whirlwind of a day today.
Crush the can a little, too.
That one's for Grandpa. But I was having a whirlwind of a day today. Hardly had time to eat, so forgive me for eating on the pod. But real busy day, busy guy. You know me. Me and my high-level government position, I'm just always busy.
7 a.m. to 7 p.m. That's a long day.
It is a long day, but you know, we do it in the name of service. We do it in the name of the Lord in our community.
Yeah, in terms of government, you're working with more mature people than the people in the federal government. So
Some could argue. But yeah, anyway, so I was eating and kind of just trying to be gross on purpose. We thought it would be funny. But I was hungry. I had
so is Bear.
Oh yeah, Bear really wants my food, but he's going to have to suck for it. He can't.
he doesn't even realize it's gone. He can still smell it.
Well, sorry, Bear. I'm not feeding you. I'm going to finish that. I'm going to eat that later. It was pretty good, but
You don't have a bear cam, huh?
No,
That would be
we should
funny.
have one on the floor, yeah, for
Yeah.
Bear.
just the wide angles as much of a bear cam as we have, and that doesn't even pick him up sometimes.
Sometimes he just blends in with the couch and you just can't even see him.
Is there a camera specifically made for pets now? Like a GoPro for pets?
Oh, you could just get it like a harness and make them wear it. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, maybe there is a specific camera built for pets, but I'd probably just get the GoPro or the DJI and strap it to them. Get the 360 camera and strap it to them. Probably what I'd do.
I'd get a big drone and strap it to him.
Fly him away.
Yeah.
So speaking of, since you brought it up, and it's Carter's favorite subject, Carter's a little sick, so we don't know how much we'll hear from him this episode. But I did hear a little bit more about the drones and about potential ideas about what these drones could be about. Nothing concrete, but just like what people are talking about these sightings could be. Because obviously we've all heard there's a million different sightings, orbs, UFOs.
I came up with my own
drones.
conspiracy that I have yet to tell anybody. Also,
Oh.
Are we talking about drones in general or the ones in New Jersey?
Both.
Okay.
The ones in New Jersey, but there's also other ones all over the place that are also
Being
along the same
spotted.
lines. I'm lumping them all together. You know, from where I'm sitting, there's no difference. I've seen the video that Carter showed me of the orb. I heard the guys in New Jersey.
A drone's a drone's a drone.
Yeah. To me, I don't really care. It's all pretty much the same thing. But the idea that I heard that I kind of latched onto is that maybe it is just our government, and they're just out here messing with us, and they just want us to start getting comfortable with these things flying around, because pretty soon they're going to just be flying everywhere all the time, and they're going to be doing facial recognition scanning over everybody all the time, just to scan and see what's up and know where everybody is at any moment for security.
We already have that.
We basically do already have that, but we don't have it in the form of these
drone.
drones that can go literally everywhere, right?
There's
so
a movie with that in it.
in 1984,
No, but with the facial recognition thing. I'll have to look it up. But
On the way over here tonight, your mother came up with her own conspiracy theory about the drones. Funny enough that you're starting off with that.
oh yeah,
Yeah, she thinks the drones are the ones causing the weather problems.
could be.
Government seeding clouds and
Well, we know they cloud seed in Vale. That's how they get all the snow. So I don't know what's up with that.
I don't either.
Well, the
They didn't-
weather's just been so nasty lately.
They didn't get any snow out there at all while Calvin was there.
What's your theory, Carter? Your conspiracy on the drone?
So my this is just no fact to back it up, but that AI has already become sentient and it's sending its own drones out to collect its own information. Live.
Collect its own information, collect parts, maybe. It's
So-
probably scavenging for parts so it can build itself a stronger form.
Well, it doesn't even have to collect parts, but just it's collecting all its own information.
I don't know what information. You're going to tell me AI, which is built out of internet and computer, you're going to tell me that doesn't have every piece of information ever already?
It's only got information that we've given it. It doesn't have
But
any
that's what I'm,
information
but
it's collected itself.
if it's okay. AI is internet come to life, right?
Yeah, so technically it should be able to seek its own information.
Shouldn't it? But I'm saying, if the information exists on the internet,
It already has it.
it already has it. It already knows all this stuff. It was born knowing everything. That's why it's so powerful. So why would it need to? It doesn't need eyeballs on the ground to get information. I could see where it would be gathering parts to build itself a stronger vessel, maybe fortify its
What eyeballs does it have on the ground right now?
every camera ever. If this is AI, which AI exists via the web, the internet, via the cloud, via the Wi-Fi, via Facebook, it's everywhere. So it's on your phone, it's on your TV, it's on your laptop. It has access to every microphone, every camera, every sensor. It has access to every camera in your car. Does your car have a
Does it
backup
have
camera?
any?
It's
Does
watching
it have
it.
any aerial cameras though?
Every airplane, every satellite.
Airplanes don't have cameras on the bottom.
But they have
How do you know?
sensors. They all have
I
sensors.
mean, I guess I don't, but
They all have sensors. That's all data. It's all
I bet
information.
you
It's
they
all the
not
same.
only have cameras, but they probably have some sort of radar, lidar, something going on all the
And-
time, so they can detect
if
things.
they
And
had
beyond
cameras,
that-
if they had
beyond
cameras,
that-
we'd have better pictures of UFOs by now, though, because
Why
airline
would
pilots see UFOs all the time, and
why
they-
would a
we all,
AI
know, we all
even
know airline pilots are drug addicts.
and why would an AI even need video
Hey, I'm-
evidence of something? I'm just thinking, like, if it has all the information,
You don't
it
need to
literally
try to
knows
debunk
all
my
the
theory.
longitude and latitude of every square inch of the entire surface of the planet plus the moon.
Could,
Like, why
it's
does it
ever
need to
Because
changing.
the
see
Though.
it?
AI
It change all the time. Maybe it's monitoring weather. It doesn't. I mean, I'm just saying. They
But
I could,
we have satellites and weather
You're
stations
not
that
as
it's
smart
already
as
tapped
AI
into.
is. Maybe AI wants the information because it's smarter than you. You don't know.
I don't know.
That's the big question, isn't it? How smart is AI?
Definitely,
is it
it's probably
beyond
I gotta say,
human existence?
it's probably at least as smart as like a porpoise, right? It's probably at least there right now.
Yeah.
Bear's got shifty eyes. Maybe he's being controlled by AI.
Is that what's wrong with him? Did you
could
get
be.
an AI dog? Is this the dog from
Probably.
Jimmy Neutron?
Yeah, look at the AI in your house, Carter. You got a dog treat thrower. You got a robot vacuum. There's cameras everywhere. Tons of internet. Who knows what's flying through the air?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't say I was really afraid of AI.
Does
but
internet like
Although I-
affect us like microwaves, or is it different?
Yes,
It
can.
does.
There's its internet runs on a different frequency, but like power lines put off the same kind of radioactive waves, I guess, in a way, and
What's the frequency, Kenneth?
different frequency. And cows that live under power lines don't produce milk.
Really?
Yeah. So
Okay.
don't live under power lines because they definitely affect you.
So this is, so what does that say about this though? Like, you got so many LED lights in the ceiling. Like Dad said, there's Wi-Fi. This place is full of Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Is
Probably
Wi-
got radon in the basement here too.
I was
so-
just gonna say, is Wi-Fi gonna be like the new radon or asbestos?
Actually, they can't be radon in here because I got a fan that basically runs 24/7 pulling air down into the basement. So it's gonna be letting air.
You got to displace it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not building radon here.
Oh man, I don't know. I just wonder. Will AI help us? You think,
No.
or you think it's just gonna be like every movie ever? It's
AI
gonna be
is a
like,
shit show. It's never gonna do anything but fuck things up.
I just don't even think it's actually gonna ever end up being that useful. I feel like it's gonna be like a joke.
I think that's what the problem with our weather forecasting is. I think it's AI generated. I think it's computer algorithm generated, and they just threw out the window all physical evidence and data. And they are lazy, and they don't put any effort into it other than to say, "Hey, run
Run a scan.
something here
Run an
and see what
AI."
happens." It's the same as throwing shit against the wall and seeing what sticks.
I want to have like a. It's always been a dream of mine to have like a complete like analog, like factory essentially. I want to say plantation, but I didn't want to say plantation. But I want like George Washington's what's his hill? Why am I blanking on this here?
Oh, where he lives.
Yeah, what's the name of his big? He had he had a
Hang on.
blacksmith. You can still go visit it today.
Yeah.
What's the name of it? Why can't I think
Mount
of it?
Vernon.
Mount Vernon. Thank you. I want my own Mount Vernon where like you can build everything you could possibly build with your own two hands, scavenging off our great American soil. And I think that's how we beat AI. I think if we all just did well, because then think about it, then they could be like, oh, well, you don't get because I'm AI and I'm mad at you now. You don't get computers, and I'd say fine, fire up the stove, fire up the furnace. Well, let's be blacksmiths.
You just want to return to 1750.
Yeah, I would like to have the setup prepared. I'm not saying I want to live like that if living with internet's an option.
Sort of like a prepper.
Yeah,
That's
just
what preppers do.
if it was no longer an option, I just would want it ready to go.
Amy, you didn't get the first chat today.
Yeah, Amy was slow to the punch. Mary beat you in here. Bear is a spy. He could be a spy.
To be fair,
He could be a robot. He could be a robot spy.
You're sleeping on the job now. So.
yeah, this is
It's like-
later than we normally do it. So
Yeah,
Amy-
we were coming
Amy
in
was-
late.
Might have woke some people up.
Yeah, Amy was probably expecting it a little earlier than it happened.
I think I texted her though that it was going to be later because Caleb was busy tonight. So
Yeah, I almost wasn't gonna make it, but everyone was already here.
You got
so,
guilted into it, basically.
Yeah, I felt like I
Badgered.
well,
Bullied even.
Well, I'm happy we're doing it. Like me and Carter, it's just like me and Carter were complaining to Calvin and Curtis because they never want to do it. Like half the time they're home and around and they just don't want to do it. And
yeah, Curtis is upstairs sleeping right now.
and no big whoop or whatever, but when other people are around that want to do it, like even on like tonight where I was busy and might not really feel like going and doing a podcast, if other people are there that want to do it,
Yeah.
it makes it easier to show up for.
yeah, of course.
And we just want to have some amount of consistency. We have seen success in our numbers. But anyway, yeah, consistency is important.
and Friday
we're just
night we
trying to
have
get 'em out.
some special guests coming.
You confirmed with them; they're coming.
Yeah.
We're gonna have our cousins on. First appearance. That'll be on Friday. Again, Friday's gonna be a late episode because I gotta work late again, but probably not too late. Maybe a little earlier than tonight. Not much earlier, but maybe a little earlier.
Friday makes it a little easier to do it late too.
Yeah, Friday, everyone's okay with doing things late. I also feel like Friday in the sense of the live show, it almost doesn't matter what time we start because most people, I think, are busy Friday night. And so the people that are here watching live on a Friday are usually lower than during the week. Monday's been a hot night. Usually Monday, isn't that the big night?
Yeah.
Everyone's
definitely for
sitting
live.
around, nothing to do, and they're watching on Monday.
Yeah, I would think Monday is really the ideal night because people are burned out from the weekend and just plop down, take a listen.
Calvin's working tonight. I wonder if he's listening while he's at work.
Maybe. Calvin and Lance
Yeah.
watching the
Shout
pod.
out.
Lance Armstrong.
Yeah, Calvin's working on his terrain park. I guess they got a few features up, and think maybe he's doing more tonight. I don't know.
We could
They
actually
gotta be making
show,
snow, I would think.
Well, yeah, the weather's right for making
We
snow.
could show
so.
some
Other than the
pictures
wind.
of it, Carter. The terrain park, if you want.
They're all over Facebook, the good book, if you can find it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Calvin's been on the busy side, but I also feel like he's just been like, where's he been? You know, like he's been around, but where's he been?
I don't know. He's probably doing the same thing he did last winter. You were with him. He's
Yeah.
a zombie, right?
Yeah, pretty much. But
Vampire?
last winter, you know, last winter everybody was free to do their own thing. You know, now this winter I'm home. I'm trying to podcast with him. I'm trying to get him to do firewood with me. Where is he? He's not around. I can't find him.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
speaking of which, we do have some firewood to do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and actually, we should talk about how
Oh,
much
here we
wood we
go.
did. Before we get into the firewood talk, we'll show you guys what Calvin's been up to. And Calvin, by the way, when I'm trash talking you, not being around, it's only because I like hanging out with you. Like it's always a bummer when I don't get to hang out. So, he's been busy. Here are the pictures of him building the terrain park, raking a rail. Keep going here. Here we go. Freshly raked snow, another rail. It's really not that exciting if you're not into this kind of stuff to look at. But
That's really a
For
pretty.
a local hill, it's
yeah,
awesome.
it is. This is huge, and they do have a freestyle team there that's going to be practicing on this. So
That's
I'm sure
a
they're
good
gonna
amount
love
of
it.
snow too. I mean, that's
Oh, yeah.
That's a tiny town-owned hill, and they got a good amount of snow there. so.
I've heard from multiple people this is the most snow they've ever made.
Wow.
And I don't think it's any coincidence that Calvin's working there this year. I think that's all him.
And yes, it's cold, Amy.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's colder where Amy is, but
Yeah, I bet it
it's
is.
pretty cold here.
So I tried skiing last night and it was miserable. Bitter cold. My face was falling off. I took 2 runs and called it a night.
Yeah, so in September we were in Florida and people were complaining it was too hot. What's worse, sweating or this disaster miserableness that we live in here?
You know, honestly, what I will tell you is, for me, I can find stuff to do that I enjoy outside in the cold, and it's not going to be busy. I can go do it, right?
Yeah.
Like skiing, I wouldn't pick a place close by here just because the snow hasn't been great. But maybe I go someplace a little farther north, and I know it's going to be a nasty cold day, but you know nobody's going to be there, and you go out and you ski the day and you dress for it. You can do that. That's an option you have, right? That heat we felt, every pool was so overcrowded and overrun. I didn't want to be at it, right? It made me uncomfortable. I didn't want to be there. So your only option was to go inside and hide in the air conditioning. And that's just how I felt. I personally couldn't put up with it. It was making me sick and angry. Like I felt like I needed to hurt somebody, you know, and that's not a fun way to walk around. This cold might make me miserable, but it makes me want to curl up into a ball under some covers and not worry about it. Sleep it off until tomorrow. That's what I can do in
That's
the
the
cold.
same as going inside in the AC and sleeping it off.
But it's not though, because you're trapped by this heat and you're in the AC, which I don't even like. The whole idea of it is just off to me. I don't like the idea of it. I don't, you know, like for me, I guess I'll put it maybe like this. I can push myself to go outside in the cold, and I can't do it in the heat. I'll leave it at that. So
When I was
that's
your age,
why
I felt
do
the
it.
same way.
Yeah.
Had trouble with the heat, but as I get older, the heat just makes me feel better.
And believe me, I love nothing more
Only
than
9 here, Amy. You got you beat.
like summertime. I love wearing shorts and flip flops
Hey.
all summer.
Cal-
Oh, Calvin is watching. Look at that.
Oh,
Thanks for the shout out.
get to work.
Yeah, what the fuck? Come on. You gonna slack off and not be at the podcast, and you can't be out there.
Oh no!
Oh man.
This is
Got the
se-
neurovirus.
This is the second day in a row. I think he does
What
have
did
some
he
kind of
eat?
flu.
He
I don't
definitely
know.
ate something
It's a
bad.
neurovirus going around.
I hope it's not that.
Hope I didn't pick it up today.
Poor Calvin. Why don't you just come home, bud? Snow.
Yeah.
We want the snow nice and white. Okay.
Well, he's getting paid to sit on the toilet there. So.
And legally, you can sit on if you are using the bathroom legally, you can do that as long as you have to at work. There's no legal way to say you can't do that because it's a bodily function.
It's getting better.
Yeah, Calvin, stop buying food at 7-Eleven. Maybe you won't have this problem.
Yeah. Oh no, it's
Bees.
bees.
Bees got you down
sorry,
bad.
bees.
Well, we sent him with food tonight, so hopefully that doesn't cause problems.
Yeah.
Get some high fiber.
Caleb, you went to Gunstock. What? Tell us about the new restaurant because that's a whole new building.
Yeah, they got this new. Well, so I was having this conversation. We always talk about Gunstock, how it's like the furthest lodge from the lifts, and you have to hike uphill. I was having a conversation with somebody, and they said, well, it seems to me you have to walk uphill most every ski area from the lodge. Depending on the time of year, I've had it where you have to walk uphill. Generally, I think it's flat or downhill to the lodge. I mean, to the lift from the lodge. That I can think of.
Yeah.
Like at Sugarbush, there were times throughout the year when the snow wasn't ideal, and you might have to go like across more or less flat ground. It wasn't really uphill though.
Yeah, maybe slightly uphill, but you could skate on it.
Like King Pine.
Like King Pine, you go up a flight of steps.
It might be uphill at King Pine, but that's flat enough. I would consider King Pine flat.
Yeah,
right.
And I think that is pretty normal. Gunstock is very specific. You're climbing.
It's
a
very
hill.
steep.
The lodge is probably 20 or 30 feet below the lift in
Yeah.
elevation, and you almost need stairs to get up to where you can put your skis on and go to the lift.
Well, so they built a new lodge that is in the proper place, right? This lodge is perfectly skiable from everything, and you would have thought this would have been like the new big shot lodge.
Yeah.
But I saw a bar and restaurant. I'm like, oh, well, maybe this is like the on the hill bar. You know, most mountains have those now.
Yeah.
The bar that you can just ski up to, right? And this is again perfectly skiable. It's right in between the magic carpet area and the ramrod lift. Like perfect,
Wow.
perfect skiable terrain from all angles. If you want to get to any part of the mountain, and you can ski right up to it. So I ski up and I go inside. There's like a narrow little waiting room hallway with a bench, and it says, "Please wait to be seated." Like this whole giant building is a restaurant and bar, but you have to wait for a hostess and wait to be seated.
Which is strange for when you just took your skis off.
Yes, because this is the on the mountain. It's not attached to the main lodge. You have to walk across snow to get to it. You have to walk through skiing terrain to get to it. So I don't know who is going to this lodge without their ski boots and snow gear on.
Yeah.
Okay. Who in their right mind wants to go and sit down at a sit-down restaurant with ski boots and their snow pants on?
Yeah.
What
And
is going on?
Who has their? Well, I guess most people have their card on them, but
Yeah, everything's cashless now, and everybody's got their card. But anyway, just kind of bizarre to me. But they do have a new bar and restaurant, and I'm sure it's fine.
It probably swallows up a lot of people to keep them off the slope, I guess. I mean, if you're going to sit in there for an hour or two.
or parents waiting for their kids.
So it's also like the basement of the building is the child care center for the mountain. So it's just kind of bizarre.
So what was the scene in there? Was it people in ski boots, or was there people in street clothes that walked
So-
up there?
I think it was mostly people in ski boots, but not many people in there. But without just wandering in past the hostess stand, you couldn't really see anything. Couldn't see what was going on. And as soon as I saw you had to be seated, like I wanted to throw a fit, quite honestly, because I thought it was stupid. But I had to swallow my pride and just say, you know what, it's Gunstock.
It doesn't make any sense. I can't see where it would make any sense from Gunstock's point of view to do that.
I don't know because if I don't know, they just could have overhauled things in the original lodge, which for some reason now they call the historic lodge. The fuck is historic about it?
Well, why not put the sit-down restaurant in the historic lodge?
Exactly.
And make
Bingo.
the other one a quick service.
In the setup is
Ski in,
actually
ski out.
nicer for it. You know, like it is a nice old lodge, the old lodge, I thought it had
And
a
you
certain
can park
ambiance.
close to it, like
yeah.
the regular people. Yeah.
But
I
I
you
don't
know,
know.
I think the way I grew up and the way you guys were raised around here in terms of skiing is like a utilitarian version of skiing. Like
Right.
you get your shit on in the parking lot. You may or may not bring a lunch. You probably don't spend a lot of money or time in the lodge.
Right.
And to me, that's New England skiing. And when you start looking around, that's going away. Like the Black Mountains are going away, and everything is valeized where
Oh, yeah.
it's shopping, it's restaurants, it's a bunch of
Resorts.
bullshit. And I know that probably makes money, but how is that skiing? I don't understand. Like you pay a lot of money to go up on the slope, use the snow, go on the lifts, and the time in the lodge should be for the bathroom to warm up, to get food, but a sit-down restaurant? I mean, I don't get it.
I don't really get it either.
I was watching a pretty interesting YouTube video. I should have saved it. I don't know if I think it was yesterday, and it was talking about skiing in New Hampshire and why nobody takes ski trips to New Hampshire. I don't know if you've ever thought about that at all.
Well, we don't have
No.
resorts like
Well,
I just heard the thing that Europe is so much cheaper, but
yeah, but like even just a weekend trip, like these people, it was talking about how like in Vermont, Sugar Bush or Killington or Jay Peak, or in Maine you have Sugarloaf,
Sunday River.
all these mountains, they have like 1,500 acres of skiable terrain, and Bretton Woods is the most skiable terrain in New Hampshire at 400.
right.
And
yeah, but all those mountains that you just named are 5-6 hours from the major population source. In New Hampshire, we're 2 hours from Boston, and people can drive up, ski, and go home.
yeah,
You know, so what?
well, it's I mean, you figure Wildcat's 3 hours, Bretton Woods is 3.5, and they can go up 93 and get to Vermont, go to Killington in the same amount of time, is what the thing was saying.
Which honestly is true. Like from all the people I met in Vermont, you know, they kind of say a similar thing. Like, oh yeah, we're from wherever it is in Mass. Like, as the crow flies, closer to where we live in New Hampshire,
Yeah.
than where we were in Vermont. But in terms of driving, it's the same.
Yep.
Same
The other
distance.
issue too with a lot of mountains around here, at least, is we have North Conway, so people stay there. There's restaurants. There's other things to do.
Yeah.
And that's a
And
half-hour drive to your
Also,
skiing.
like Attitash and Loon have all the condos, so people have that's like their second home.
Yeah, it's not the same though. Like if you compare it to like a Sugar Bush or something, but it just made me think that, like you're saying, like this kind of like Gunstock. These mountains are trying to be something that they're not, and they never can be. Where these other mountains are more of a resort type mountain, and we have
Much
these
smaller mountains.
smaller mountains. Is it like a different kind of skiing? Like I'm trying to think of what.
Tanner, who I tend to take his opinion when it comes to
Absolutely.
anything ski related. He's a diehard skier. He just says the parking lot is always full when I go skiing nowadays, but there's no lift lines. Like people are just going, so they say they went skiing, and they just sit in the lodge or something. and that's a pretty accurate statement. I mean, every single, well, actually, you remember when you were at Sugar Bush with me?
Yeah,
You remember we waited in some lift lines, right?
yeah, not long ones.
Not long ones at all. But that was a busy weekend there. And remember going and trying to sit in the lodge. Remember what that was like?
yeah, there's no place.
There's
at all.
no place at all to sit. We barely got a table.
They had a
We're
shitty
jammed in a
lodge, too.
corner. Watch your mouth. I clean that lodge every night. But anyway, just exactly what you're saying. You know, it was a full day at the mountain, but it's not like you were standing around waiting in line. It wasn't like you couldn't make it down the hill.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the other thing I was going to say too, which was interesting, was that the snow totals in New Hampshire are a lot less than Vermont and Maine. For whatever reason, we get 100.
Because we don't lie.
Maybe we get 150 inches of snow, and the other ones get 200 plus every year.
It just
and JP
is
gets
bizarre.
300.
It just again last winter in Vermont we got way more snow on a regular basis than we do that like on winters when we've had crazy winters that seem to be like it was just a regular winter to people in Vermont,
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh my God, it's snowing every
But
day.
I would say with the snow when we were there, it wasn't like it was a snowstorm though. It just was a constant precipitation, and snow was like you were getting.
Well, it's
every morning you wake up and there was a dusting. And
I
it
was saying it's really
constantly
like a
just-
rainforest over there, like if you go through the woods, everything is super mossy. Lot of mushrooms, everything is really mossy. And if it's not cold enough to snow, it is rainy. Like it's cloudy and rainy. And if it's cold enough, it's cloudy and snowy. And I don't know. It did seem to be a different climate to me completely than here. Even though it's not that far away, but
No, it's definitely different terrain too. I mean,
yeah.
it's a lot more. I wouldn't say mountainous, but there's a lot more hills up, down, around.
Jagged. It seems like here, I feel like you can feel where the ocean was kind of calmingly rushing off the land back into the ocean, right, as the seas were receding.
Glaciers.
The glaciers. And things are kind of more smooth and rounded. You can see, like, when the ocean leaves the ripples on the beach and it looks nice and smooth. That's kind of where we are here. But up there, like, this glacier was just like like a knife, just carving through the land and really fucking it up.
They're like that.
Yeah.
He doesn't like weird noises like that. For some reason, he always has to see what's going on when somebody makes a weird noise.
Well, did we get Bear to howl? Woody howl?
He does howl, but only when nobody's home.
Maybe it was Cody's dog we were getting to howl. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. Had a dog howling recently.
Yeah, I should see if Allie has a video. She had a really kind of a sad video where Bear was home alone and he's just sitting in the middle of the living room, just like howling, like crying, like because he's home alone.
Oh, Bear. Come
Poor
to join
baby.
me. He is a baby. Baby.
Yeah, I don't know the back to the ski area thing. I think New Hampshire is just different. New Hampshire is different in so many ways. Like I don't know why it's so different from when you cross the state line, but it just is.
Very unique.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether it was something to do with the state or the people who live in the state, but when these ski areas were built, that's all they were, was just ski areas. And they didn't leave any room for condos or resorts or anything.
Yeah.
They're just that stuff just isn't here. And, obviously I'm biased. That's how I grew up skiing. So that's what I would tend to want to do. And then, you see these places that are catering to people that don't care about skiing, just like what Tanner said. They just want to go and say they were at a
they did
place.
It's one of those weird activities where people do just want to say that they did it. They don't necessarily care about doing it, and it is really frustrating. Like you can tell right away if you're really into something, you can tell right away who is and who isn't. And a lot of people will think they're into skiing. They think they are, right? Because they try and go every year at Christmas, so they think they're into skiing. Oh yeah, I love skiing. I go 3 times a winter. I friggin' love it. Every time I can get out there, every 3 times every year, I freaking love it. I love it. But they'll come up to you and just start trying to talk about it, and you just kind of like you're saying, the way we enjoy skiing is definitely a learned thing. It's something you have to be taught, like you how to pack a picnic, how to just enjoy yourself in the parking lot and not mess around in the lodge. Not even a lot of people have done that or even would think to do that or understand how to do it.
You know what the funny thing is, when you guys were growing up, honestly, I don't even think we spent any time in the lodge except to quickly eat our picnic. And then we were right back outside. Like, we never were in the lodge.
Well, what were you gonna do in there? Like, there was stuff we wanted to look at because we wanted to buy it. You know, like that's all that was going on in there. And
Well, as we know, we're a bit of an odd family when it comes to this stuff. Like, we've really either forged the path of older, like an older generation, like the way we have done things.
yeah,
or,
old school. It's definitely
or
old
like,
school, but-
you know, in that case, it's like, okay, we are going skiing, so the purpose is to ski. Why are you
Right.
sitting inside? We're here to ski. If we want to sit inside, let's go home and sit inside.
right. Which is a really fair point, you know. And it's not like we're that far away. You know, we'd be going up to King Pine. We went quite a bit, right? Like multiple times a week.
Oh yeah.
We
And-
would get a midweek pass, right?
Yep. And you know, we used to get the first tracks because we had the midweek pass. But I was just thinking back to when we did the rec program when you guys were a little older, and it was so cold.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Tanner remembers how cold it used to be.
It was
when
always cold.
It was
Friday
like
nights.
below 20 degrees.
Back in the
maybe.
day, they used to let you stay there till like 9 o'clock at night on a Friday night.
Yep.
And these were, you know, we were
And we were out
young.
there in that cold. Even Dad and I,
Yeah.
To
we
the
weren't
bitter end.
bothered. Yeah.
To the
Yeah.
bitter end, too. Like, you know.
You were not
Yeah.
going home early. Nobody was gonna want to surrender early. No way.
Right now, it feels worse now at our age, I guess.
I don't
It
think it's
feels-
at our age. We have not had any cold weather the past few years at all.
Yeah.
Like it's not that cold out. It's
But
above zero.
we really didn't get a chance to acclimate because we had super warm, above freezing weather. It was warm and humid, and
Yeah.
now all of a sudden, snap! It's bitter cold, and the wind is howling. The wind chill is -5. Say what you want. Say, oh, it's 20 degrees out. It shouldn't feel that bad. Wind chill's -5. So it feels like -5. It feels like -5. Don't say, oh, it's 20 degrees. Yeah, it feels like -5.
Everything's so dry. You're constantly getting electrocuted.
Yeah.
You know,
Shocked. Lips are chapped.
Yeah, that sounds like winter.
Yeah.
Sounds like the reason I don't like it.
Well, you know, in our efforts to combat winter, kind of the last thing I wanted to talk about was just our firewood recently because we did rent a processor.
Which videos are to come.
Yeah, I filmed some of it, so I'll get one
Oh, look at
good
that
video. Oh, it was
Oh, nice.
This was a video that I took.
a little clip. Here we go. Here's a little clip Carter took of the processing action.
It was sitting here on my computer. You'd think it would have been loaded.
AI.
AI is screwing us. They knew we were trying to do this. They knew I was talking shit about
So
them.
this processor, Chris, had about 25 cords he wanted to split, and we had 2 days to do it.
Yeah, it's 16 hours is the rental time we had, and I think we used about 14 of it, and we got close to 20 cords done.
It's pretty good.
Who's operating it?
I think this one's you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just splitting some wood with the splitter today, and I wasn't liking it compared
Oh
to that.
yeah, it's gonna be hard to go back to the wood splitter now.
Yeah, it was a little tough.
It was funny because this was the first video that I had recorded, and the first few pieces of wood were
Bad.
they dropped in bad, and Dad had to fix it.
Well, I was having trouble too.
It definitely takes there's a huge learning curve to it, you know, and just by the time we were getting rid of it, I think I was starting to get a handle on it. But even still, I kept screwing things up, you know. There's a million things to focus on.
Yeah, when you get to the end there, everything gets screwed up at the end, but it's got to be exactly the right size wood. It's got to be straight. You know, it's a whole bunch of things, but even all that said, it does. It really takes the curse off of doing firewood.
Yeah, I thought it was cool, and it made it easy and fast. Like you could just blast out firewood like nobody's business. And as far as it's actually kind of bizarre because there's a certain amount of the physical labor that I do like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I like putting in a hard day's work. You feel good about yourself. You know, you end up, you feel strong. You know, moving those logs around. It's
good exercise.
It is.
No
It's
question.
really good exercise. It's literally what they do for World's Strongest Man competitions, moving these friggin' logs around, and that's what we do for splitting firewood.
The thing we got to do is we got to figure out how we can get pay, how people can pay us to get their workout in by splitting firewood.
That's a good idea.
That is a
Just
good
forget about
idea.
getting a processor. We're gonna start running CrossFit classes and just having people come over. They're gonna pay us to help us split a cord of wood, and we're gonna make money on both ends.
And stack it.
And stack it. Yeah. No gloves either, because we want these
Screw
people. That's part of it. You're coming. No shoes either.
Yeah.
We'll make them be barefoot. No gloves. No shoes.
Yeah, come in your gym clothes, and when it's cold out,
Yeah.
you work up a sweat. You
Yeah.
gotta keep moving.
And then if cap it all off, we'll make them do a cold plunge in the river.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a premium though. You got to pay extra if you want to do
We'll
that.
have to get a sauna too for
Yeah.
the after the cold plunge.
Yeah.
I went to. We haven't used the wood splitter for
A while.
a long time.
month or more.
So I went out, hooked up the battery packs. I knew the battery was dead, and it took a while to get started. And I look over, there's no cap on the fuel tank. So I don't know when the cap fell off, but clearly there was some moisture in there. It wouldn't run. So I had to drain the fuel. I got a new fuel filter, got new fuel line, fixed it all up, and in order to work. But I got a cord done.
What was
Found
going
the fuel
on?
cap, it was still there.
Yeah, it just fell off.
And why doesn't the fuel cap stay on tight? It's just
There's a rubber gasket that's missing.
Okay, because it has been
Yeah.
funky, and
It
just the
floats
winds.
around.
The wind's been brutal recently.
Yeah,
So.
it's possible it wasn't off for that long, but the thing wouldn't hardly run. So
Yeah.
now it runs again. But
Yeah. Not.
the conveyor engine, that was all
Yeah,
screwed
that
up.
was going slow today.
Well, the whole thing was frozen up. I had to soak the top of the engine down with oil just to get things moving again. It was all seized up.
14 degrees while we were out there this morning.
Yeah, I think that thing's
and how
due for a new one.
old is that conveyor?
Yeah, it's old, and it's got a junk engine on it that needs to be replaced. So
Yeah.
we're lucky that it goes. But yeah, but I was thinking the whole time, like, man, I wish you just had that processor.
Yeah.
I've only wanted one for 20 years, so maybe someday.
Yeah. I think so. I think eventually we got to get one.
That's the only way we're going to get ahead in terms of dry wood. I know that.
The way I always say it, and maybe I've said it on the podcast before, but I always talk about the Vanilla Ice project, because Vanilla Ice, Dad, you've always told us our whole life, Vanilla Ice was
VIP.
one of the only, he was kind of a one-hit wonder, more or less, right?
Yep.
He did have some major success, but a lot of guys like that, they'll have like a big flash in the pan moment, then they lose all their money and they end up in jail, or they're a fry cook, right?
He was also a joke for a long time, butt of many jokes.
True. Jim Carrey parodied him on In Living Color, pretty like ruthless
Yeah.
Vanilla Ice parody. Probably deservedly so. Anyway, so yeah, he was kind of this one-hit wonder character, made some money, but rather than just, wasting all his money or getting into crime or drugs or wasting his life away, what did he end up doing, Dad? Do you want to explain?
He started investing in real estate.
Investing in real estate and renovation, right?
Yep. He started by buying and flipping houses, and basically just buying stuff at less than its value, and doing whatever he could to make the value a little higher, and flipping it over, and
eventually
money.
this led to the reality show, the Vanilla Ice Project, where he flips houses. But for me, what I always say would be my Vanilla Ice Project is the firewood business. So say the podcast ended up getting money, I would use that to subsidize the firewood operation, to buy all the equipment and invest into that. That would be the way I would go. That's what I always say is my Vanilla Ice, because they say invest in what you know.
Your side hustle.
Yeah. And I just try and think of things I know, and it's not that many, but I know wood, so
Well, like we talked about before too, firewood around here used to be a fuel source. People heated their houses with it. Some people still do, but most people now burn wood for fun.
Right.
And
For food, for fun,
yeah,
for
they cook with
ambiance.
it, and all those things just add up to the wood being worth more because they want a specific product. So if you're willing to provide a specific product and have good service, you can charge more and you can actually make money on it. If you're just selling bulk wood for fuel, anybody and everybody does that. And it's hard to make any extra money.
And everyone's
but-
trying to undercut you too because
Yeah.
you know, oh, you give somebody a price and they're like, oh, I'm not paying that. I paid this much last year from so and so, and they'll call around, and if they can't find the price they want, they'll end up finding somebody that found free shit on the side of the road, and they'll just get that dropped off, and they'll scrape by. You know, like in terms of the people that are doing it for fuel, for heat, like you're saying, they've got a certain price point, and above that they say, fuck it, I'm burning oil.
Right.
It's not worth the work. I'm burning oil.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
But if you,
Except the wood heat is so much better.
well, yeah, but
at a certain price point, I'm saying if
Yeah.
you're just doing it for fuel, but that's kind of what we're saying with this designer wood market, similar to what we were just trashing on the ski industry
Yeah.
for. That's what we're going to do with our firewood industry
They want
here.
fire-
Pizza
firewood-
ovens and
yeah, they people want to cook with it. They want to smoke food with it. And they want it to look a certain way when it's piled next to their fireplace or wood stove.
And truthfully, they do want it to be this bone dry, kiln dried wood because everyone's got these smokeless fire pits, which, if you didn't know, are only smokeless if you have bone dry, kiln dry
yeah,
wood.
when you throw a chunk of green wood in there, it's not
it's
smokeless.
guess what? It's smoking.
Well, there is a science behind it, allegedly, that I.
Yeah, it's called dry wood. This is the science has
No.
existed for hundreds of years.
It is dry wood, but there's a convection system inside it. Like those fire pits are double walled, so it sucks air in and it's supposed to burn hotter and keep it from.
Somehow there's a way that the fire pit itself creates heat at a higher point in the fire pit and actually burns the smoke off is what the science
It doesn't burn the smoke off though when you throw green wood in, and the smoke overtakes the scientific process there. I mean, it's all designed around dry wood, and if you watch any of the videos, you can see it. Like if you throw a bunch of crap in there, it smokes like anything else or won't burn at all.
And you know, just to trash on these fancy smokeless fire pits a little bit, what is this? What is this system that is so fancy? Because I've never had a problem with a fire. Okay, if you have a fire pit and there's holes around the bottom, so the air gets in from the bottom, pulls the air in through the bottom. And again, if you're burning dry wood, same as you would have to in this smokeless pit, the fire, using science or whatever the fuck Carter tried saying, it pulls air in through the bottom and heat goes out the top and there's no fucking smoke. So I understand maybe there's some idea here, but whatever minute little trash it's trying to do, you're just not going to try and pull the wool over my eyes. This is snake oil.
I think the explanation you're looking for is fire has been around since the beginning of time.
oh, Carter's got a
So the way fire works is if you get enough heat, if you can generate
diagram
enough
here
heat,
for us. Go ahead,
then the
Carter.
smoke and everything goes up. It
Yeah,
rises
way
up.
away from you.
If you don't have enough heat, the smoke just lingers. It can't rise.
All right, look at the diagram here.
No, I mean I'm not saying that green wood isn't going to smoke in this. I'm just saying there is a science behind it. The fire is lower in the pit, and it's drafting hot air or cold air into the bottom, being hot air as it reaches the top, and causing the smoke to burn.
I mean, I'm gonna sound like a real know-it-all jackass here, but I think the science is a little off here. I think what it's doing is it is drafting the air in. Like I said, it's a double-walled situation. It drafts the cool air in. The fire heats up the air, and then when it comes out the top, hot air rises. So whatever comes out of there goes up out of there quicker and doesn't just linger around at eye level, burning your eyes.
Yeah.
And that explanation makes more sense than this burning off the smoke.
Yeah,
Burning off the
It
smoke?
says mixing with the smoke and causing it to reburn. That sets off a red flag for me, causing it to reburn.
That's just not a thing. That's they're making something up.
Yeah. Well, they want to sell
your explanation makes
their
more
little
sense.
fire pits.
It's gonna carry more heat to the top faster, pushing the smoke away.
Yeah.
And
That makes some amount of
is
sense.
this like a
but
tabletop one or is this like a regular one?
it's all the same.
Yeah, they're the same. It's just the size of it. Like you can get a nice big one that sits on the ground you can cook on, or you can have a
Solo
little
stove.
one.
If you're watching, send us one. I'll run it over. Send
It's
us
not your average
one.
crapper one.
Yeah, we'll find some. We'll get like an anvil and drop it on it. See how
We can
well
put
it
it
works
through the wood
then.
splitter,
That would be funny.
cut it into 4 equal pieces.
What would be funnier is to just, if you could just, maybe you get a really long stick to press the lever and just get the hell away from it. So when it goes ping into a million pieces. That happened when we were splitting wood.
Ooh,
Oh,
that
man,
was
yeah.
scary.
Add to my concussion list.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
2 things that I can't believe you didn't have the camera going.
I
for.
know. So the first one, the more fun one, we had a mouse in a log. And I tried saving the mouse from the wood splitter. I didn't want to split him, but then he got inside this chute where the sawdust came out, and it's just this little chute, and he's sitting in there, and there's no way to reach in there and get him without being a whole big fuss.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, well, screw it. I'm just gonna let the saw rip, and the sawdust just goes blasting, and he goes flying out the chute into the big pile of sawdust. And then I guess he scurried off underneath the excavator after that.
Yeah.
So I probably should have just split him, because now he's living large inside the excavator.
Well, he actually got cut off because he was up in the log when you cut the piece off. He fell with. Was he in the piece that was still
I think
on the chain, or
I
fell
think
into
he
the?
was in the piece when the saw was coming through it, right? But he didn't want to jump out the end, because that's where I am. That's where
Yeah.
you can see daylight. And so he's like pressed up in there as the saw's coming through. You probably know what the fuck was happening. But then the saw goes through, and the log starts falling down, and you came leaping out the back. And that's how he ended up on top of the...
Yeah, top of the wedge, right?
yeah.
On top of the ram.
Yeah. But anyway, so that was the mouse story. I missed that with the camera. And then another thing that happened, on occasion, this happens all the time when you're splitting wood. If it's an ugly piece of wood, it doesn't want to split right. It's being rammed into
you
this
hear it
wedge.
cracking, too.
With a lot of force.
Yeah.
and-
Well, here's the thing. With the processor, you don't hear it cracking. You just
Right.
you see it all of a sudden, and it's so much faster than the wood splitter.
It's so much more powerful and fast. Like I would love to know how much pressure that wood came flying out of there with, because it had to have been insane, because it was like a blink of an eye that this happened. And the wood is getting rammed into the wedge, and the idea is that it's going to split into pieces. Well, for whatever reason, this piece of wood was twisted up, or it wasn't hitting the wedge in a way that it's going to split easy. It was going against the grain. I don't know. But the thing is not going to stop. So it's just crushing this wood and twisting it and warping it till finally it stretches and explodes. And
Yeah, it somehow slipped between the ram and the wedge. It somehow compressed and then shot out of the top without. Well, it did split,
it did.
but it shot out in the air so far that Caleb and I had time to actually make eye contact and say, "Wow, that was crazy."
Yeah.
And then
Out of nowhere.
after maybe 2 seconds,
Like
maybe
a
a little
second
more,
of looking around and being like, holy shit, like that
Bam.
was a big explosion. Yeah, then this chunk of wood comes falling, and I was wearing headphones, and it hit me like right on the side of my headphone, knocked them off my head, and I was like what the fuck? Like I had no idea where it came from. I was totally in shock.
the thing had to be at least 20 feet in the air for it to take that long to come down.
Yeah, in this,
It was
it
insane.
wasn't
So
like
lucky it didn't hit your head.
yeah, it wasn't like a little shard of wood. It was a big piece of
Yeah,
firewood.
10 or 15 pound piece of green red oak.
Yeah, and
It's crazy.
Thank God I had my headphones on too, because my ear probably would have, like, my ear is a little like bruised. You can't really see it, but you can feel it if you're touching around. It's not bad, but literally because my headphones were on, I think that's the only reason I'm okay, because it just slammed
Yeah.
my headphones, knocked them off my head, and the wood kind of hit my shoulder a little bit, but the headphones took all the shock and everything.
Is your shoulder bruised?
No, my shoulder's completely fine. That's how much
Yeah.
shock the headphones absorb. Like all the pressure was bam right on my headphones, and I got hit hard, but
I can't believe it didn't break them.
I thought for sure
They'd be smashed.
Yeah, or at least the audio wasn't going to be working. they're fine. JBL, man. These are JBL headphones. I've had them for years now. I wear them in the rain. I leave them in my car in freezing temperatures. They've been hit with a piece of firewood. I would recommend them to anybody. JBL wireless headphones.
Oh, we're still on fire pits.
There was one other.
This is a metal trash can, though.
This is a homemade one, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is one other fact was that the holes coming around the lip, or the holes coming around the inside. There's a lip above them, and it helps force the air that's coming up towards the center of the fire pit, which it essentially makes the fire pit draft harder than a normal fire pit.
That makes sense. You're funneling it. It's gonna draft harder, just
and
like a wood
the smoke
stove.
will go straight up instead of everywhere.
Yeah, and it helps create a
It's
taller,
like a little bit of a chimney.
yeah, and create
it
a
makes
taller,
sense.
a taller flame. And
it's gonna
make it
draft better.
burn more.
But
I
this
still take exception to the igniting a second flame business.
Yeah, I don't think that's quite the right way to describe it.
I just think it's unfortunately it's just like, so if you wanted to go out and build this smokeless thing because you heard it might work, that's great. I love that. I'm happy you have a project. Keep yourself busy. That's wonderful. But if you just want to go out and spend a ton of money on something you could do with a pile of rocks, like the best fire pit's a pile of rocks, man. Like, you shouldn't have to pay for your fire pit, and people are going out and getting these super expensive fire rings, and just it's the influencer-ness of having a campfire. And that's fine if that's all you want to do. Again, we're going to start trying to tap this market. So
I generally I generally would say that I agree that think
these fire pits are cool.
I think it's retarded to spend the money that these things cost on a fire pit. But I'm not saying that they're completely snake oil, because you think of this fire pit here. What this fire pit is describing is, like you said, a chimney. It's a fire pit that drafts itself. So most people, if they don't know how to start a fire, they don't put air to it. They have a tough time starting a fire. You're burning green wood. It's not going to burn hot enough to create no smoke.
Well, I guess
you have
this
a draft
is it.
Going
This is
to
what
it.
this is what I'll add to that too. Is if you can't figure out a fire, right? If you have no ability to figure it out, don't have one.
Carter, do you have a
right?
picture of your
don't have
fire
one.
pit? Because I think people need to understand what kind of fire pit we have around here.
Yeah,
A fire pit consists of 3 to 4 walls of anything that won't burn, and then a pile of shit that will burn in the middle. That's a fire pit.
Yeah. And Carter's had some pretty big fires.
Yeah. Well, I guess you can say, oh, you blah, 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 that you're a retard, you don't know how to start a fire. But
I didn't say that for the record. You did.
yeah.
I don't have a problem with the fire pits. I think from the ones I've seen, the bigger ones, they have the sear ring on the top where you can cook on them. I think that's kind of cool. And I also think the little tiny tabletop ones could be kind of cool.
I
roasting
think those ones are
marshmallows.
cool.
Well, yeah, roasting marshmallows are just if you're sitting outside on a fall night and
Little
you're at
ambient.
a little table, I mean, it's a little
something
heat.
to do.
It's kinda
Roasting
cool.
marshmallows. I guess I'll add this too. When I first saw the
kinda like
solo
fondue.
stove, I was like, oh my god, that's so cool. I'm ordering one. And then I saw how much money they were, and then I was pissed. And ever since then, I've been pissed. So,
Yeah, but again, though, I don't think the logistics of taking one of those things camping makes any sense. But
no,
you could.
Well, like you're saying, these little tabletop ones, I do think that's
it's not bigger than a Stanley mug, and people lug those things around. So
right. It's a little tiny thing, and I think that would be cool to bring around and say I was going camping. Most places, so it's very difficult to just go camping around here. So if you're in a place where you are allowed to camp and have a fire, there's probably already a real fire pit.
Yeah.
But maybe you don't want to do all that. That's a lot more work. But if you had this little solo stove, for me, I think it does have a place, right? I would pack it with all my fire starting stuff, and then when you get there, you can collect some twigs and stuff and whittle some kindling. And like you're saying, just for something to do.
Well, I think it's something
Have
to
this
cook
little-
on too.
Sure.
I mean, you've got a confined heat source that you can cook on. You can throw your pot of water on top of it. You can heat up food on it. Whatever.
Yeah, what
but-
did you guys take camping that time?
Oh, we have
Is that propane?
yeah, it's just
Rocket stove.
rocket stove. Yeah, little propane dealy.
So if I can make my point
Closing argument for the solo stove.
that not everybody has a stack of firewood in the yard. So say you go down to the hardware store, you buy the firewood. Well,
which is what we're trying to do.
which you just split it the day before. It's green wood. You're gonna have a tough time burning it in a fire pit because I've done that before. I've tried to burn green wood in a fire pit. It doesn't burn well until it gets hot, and you have to sit there with a leaf blower and blast it with a leaf blower and get it hot. So these people that want to have a fire, if they buy the the fire pit that drafts and does that for them, and it doesn't have to be a pain in the ass to have a fire that's not just rolling smoke out of it.
You would
I'm
have to
just-
somehow prove to me that you could in any way burn green wood. Period in the solo stove. I don't know as if you can.
I don't
period.
think you can.
You'd have to prove that to me because that's what this whole thing is relying on. Because I'm just saying that this whole thing, your point you're making comes down to the wood essentially. You have to have dry wood to use this solo stove. My point is, if you already have good dry wood, just burn it on the goddamn ground. You don't need the stove.
Now, Solo is one of the brands, but I think because I was on REI before Christmas, and there's several brands now.
Is it
that-
REI Co-op or Coop?
Co-op.
Because I've heard it a billion different ways, and
Yeah.
and I never gave it a thought. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no, but I was looking at some of the camping gear and everything, and the Solo stove is on there for sale, but there was several other brands as well that looked similar. So I think once Solo came out, other people just jumped on.
It's like anything. Once you start making in China, there's everybody
Once there's
under the
one
sun.
mold for it, there's infinite.
If you go on Amazon,
Well,
There's
like-
an Amazon Basics version of
you can buy direct from China.
just
these
like we were
little fire
talking about
pits.
with those Legos the other night.
Yeah.
Buying these bootleg Legos. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to be a total solo stove hater. I initially thought they were cool, and then the more I've kind of looked into it, the more I'm just a little bit over it, and it is annoying when everybody has something. You know, at a certain point, you're like, all right, well, find something different. Like, not every YouTube channel I watch has to. Why does everybody have a solo stove? A couple people can have it. Now the next guy, go try something else, just for the sake of trying something else. You know, I don't know.
You just got to come up with a competition like a Luke stove or a Chewy stove or something like that, or a
they
Leia
get the
stove.
solo stove. Okay, yeah, I see what you're doing. I was thinking a different avenue. I was thinking like the buddy stove. You know.
Yeah. Well, I think we're sort of talking about the same thing when it comes to the ski areas. Like, we are utilitarian people.
Yeah.
And we have a specific use for things, and if we don't have a specific use, what's the point? It's just for looks, and it's just for social media.
And what's really weird about where we are in New England, doing things for looks is like, is there anything more dangerous and frowned upon?
Douchey.
Yeah, it's you don't want to like have anything too flashy. You don't want to you don't want to
Stand out.
or like even really have like a nice haircut. Like, that's like a thing around here. Like, people dress poorly. They don't really like groom themselves very well. And I don't think it's because they don't want to. I think it's because there's like this stigma over like oh, I don't want to try too hard. Like, oh, who do I think I am? I'm going to wear a collared shirt today. I don't think so. I don't want to look too special.
Well, I
Or take too much time grooming.
Yeah.
I have a theory that ties into all of that, and it goes back to the people that settled this part of the country. The ones that stayed here are the real hard asses. I mean, people came here, they tried to settle here, and like, this place sucks. It's all rocks and bad weather.
Speaking of hard ass, practical and functional, or throw it away. That's from Danny.
Yeah. So the if you go back to when the ground here was settled, some people stayed, some people said, no, there's got to be an easier way to live.
Yeah.
The people that stayed here said, no, I'm going to see if I can not die this winter.
Yeah.
So generation after generation after generation of hard asses stayed around here. And those are like puritanical people.
Yeah.
So they're, or like the Shakers, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So
That's
no-
true.
nothing-
Don't we have 2 Shaker villages around? Are they both in
multiple? But
Yeah, yeah.
these people are utilitarian. If it doesn't have a specific purpose, just to Tanner's point, we're not going to have an interest in it. Why are we going to wear flashy clothes? Are wool pants better suited for this environment? Yes. Are they trendy or fashionable? No. But people are still going to wear them because they're utilitarian.
Right.
And that's the people that stayed around here. If you go to other parts of the country, if you went to Miami, there's nothing utilitarian about that. That's all about looks.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's strictly about looks, you know, because it doesn't matter what you wear or what you have. The weather's never terrible other than maybe a hurricane. But, you know, here, your life depends on it sometimes having the right stuff. And if it doesn't look right, who cares?
Yeah. Yeah. Like this week, for example, imagine something simple like you get a flat tire while you're out driving and you just got to change your tire or even just wait for the tow truck, whatever it might be. If you're stuck on the side of the road this time of year, if you got to get out of the car for any reason at all, like you better hope you wore proper clothing. Like you're not messing around when it's 10 degrees, feels like -5, the wind is howling. Nobody's going to slow down to help you either. They're going to give you the middle finger when they drive by. And you just got to go out there and you got to deal with it. And if you're not prepared, then you're screwed.
A good example of that is going to the gas station on a day like today. One, you only got about 5 minutes out there before your hands are breaking off, frozen.
Yeah.
And all the sand in the parking lot is blasting around, blowing in your eyes.
Oh, my God. It's brutal. You need goggles out there.
So you have to go prepared. You got to have gloves. You got to be dressed right, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you could stand out there in a T-shirt. I saw somebody doing it today, but
It can be done.
Weren't you the one standing in a t-shirt in high school?
Yeah, of course I was, but my metabolism was going nuts, so it kept me warm. know?
You also 100% would have just like you would have had it in your head.
For spite.
Yeah, for spite.
Oh,
like
yeah,
you
absolutely.
would have got cold at a certain point, but because somebody told you to put on a coat and you didn't want to.
That's the New England hard
yeah.
ass.
You're not going to do it.
Well, we've talked about this before. I mean, being hot or cold is completely mind over matter. Until
Yeah.
the point where you pass out or freeze to death, it's mind over matter. If you tell yourself when it's 20 below and the wind is blowing, the wind chill is 100 below, whatever it is, you go out there and say, it's not that cold. I can handle this. And you just talk yourself into it. It's the same way with the heat.
You can if you can stay positive and just
You
keep
guys would
floating.
be so proud this morning. That's exactly what Dad did.
Yeah.
Because he at the moment hates the cold, and but this morning he said, I'm not gonna complain. I'm just gonna go out there and do this firewood, and it was amazing. You
I mean that's
was
literally
that
what you have
did?
to do.
Mind
You just
over
have
matter?
to.
Yeah, that's what I do whenever I actually, if I want to just be a whiny bitch, then I'm a whiny bitch. But if I want to get something done or I want to stop being a whiny bitch, I just mind over matter it. And I think we all do that with a lot of things.
Oh yeah. Well, anything. I would say that's how you get anything done. It's
has to be at some point.
everything is mind over matter to a certain point.
How many things do you do that you truly love doing?
I mean, taking a crap's pretty sweet.
Well, then it's mind over matter. That's how you get through it. What are you pointing at?
Mom's trying to direct the show from her from on the show. She's trying to give Carter producing notes.
I wasn't even paying attention.
But I don't know. I think this has been a good episode. I think we can kind of wrap it up here. It's getting late. I'm just ready for bed, I think. Go home and wind it down. But I think this was a pretty good episode.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Covered our bases.
Yeah, I'm glad we didn't have to be interviewed.
Oh yeah, I forgot you said that once.
Oh yeah.
If we came on the show together, you were gonna interview Mom and Dad.
Yeah, well, I thought it would be fun. Like, we don't have to do it tonight, but like I kind of, more or less like getting my origin story, like straight from the horse's mouth.
Or you could do like ask
Came
a
out
question
screaming and never stopped.
and see if like Dad would know the answer or
No
vice
newlywed
versa.
game.
Yeah, not like that. I would want to like, or like we could talk about just different things involving all of us. Like if Curtis and Callum were here too, like we could talk about anything about us growing up and have your guys' perspective, being the only adults that were around as witnesses, you know, because like things like, for example, like you remember our rock wars.
Yeah, well, and I wasn't privy to
Right,
that.
that's what I wanted to
until
know,
later
like-
on.
Like how much did you know, and how long? Like I don't remember how long it went on before
You guys must
found
have had
out,
a thing like, don't tell Mom.
Oh, 100%. We knew not to tell you, or we'd have to stop. And I had gotten hit with a rock, and I was gonna go tell you, and everybody's like, Caleb, don't tell Mom. If you tell Mom, we're all in trouble. We're all in trouble, and we'll never get to have a rock fight again. Do not tell Mom.
So you weren't subscribing to the notch down when Dad's not around?
No, because we knew as long as we kept it between the four of us, everything was fine. If we were out in the backyard, beyond the sand pile, you know, you couldn't be seen from the kitchen sink windows. If you're just out beyond that crest, and it was just the four of us, we pretty much knew to keep it between us, and everything was fine. But for some reason, I had it in my head that Carter had really hurt me on purpose, and he probably didn't. It was probably an
He
accident.
probably did, though.
But so that's
I don't remember throwing a rock at you on purpose. There's plenty of times where we fought and tried to hurt each other.
But
on
you remember
purpose,
the
but-
rock wars, right?
Yeah, that was never. I don't think that was ever on purpose. It was
Well, that's
stupid.
what I mean. It was just a really dumb idea. We'll explain real quick, and this will be the last thing before we get off the episode, just because people are going to want to know about what a rock fight consisted of. We would go out to our sand pile, which if you didn't grow up with a sand pile, it's quite literally a dump truck pile of sand in your yard that you just leave all your Tonka trucks
Your
in.
sandbox. Like a
But
big
it actually
sandbox.
came from the gravel yard, like real, and from a dump
It was
truck.
real
Yeah.
authentic sand.
Well,
But
No AI sand.
yeah. Anyway, so we had a sand pile, and you'd go out there, and basically what we'd do is we'd set up army men. We'd build bases and set up army men, and there was one specific army man.
We had blocks of wood, bricks, and everything.
Yeah.
We dig into the sand and build
and
these.
really build a hardcore base. And there's one army man inside the base, and then basically what you'd do is you'd stand behind your base and you'd pelt the other team's base, trying to knock over all the army men. And the only way you could win is by getting the guy inside the base knocked over. So you really had to hurl some big rocks to knock over a pile of bricks. Like, actually, this was like original Angry Birds. This was Angry Birds before it even existed.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'd hurl a big rock at a pile of sand and some bricks and try and knock over army men. Meanwhile, we were standing behind each of our forts we had built. And anyway, Carter had thrown a rock.
Yeah, standing literally right in line with the other person throwing the rocks.
And it never occurred to me that you could get hit with a rock until I got hit with a rock on the like it was a big rock. I don't even think it was a direct hit, so I don't know why I thought like this was just what a jerk of a kid I was too. That the second I got hit, I was like, "You did it on purpose," you know. But this rock like hit my base and then like rolled off. It was a big rock and it landed on my foot. Like after it had already hit the base and rolled, it landed on my foot, and I freaked out and I ended up telling you, but everybody was like, "Don't do it, you're gonna ruin it," and I did ruin it. We weren't allowed to have rock fights after that, but probably for the best. But that can be the end of the episode. We'll leave you guys with the rock fights.
good night, Amy.
Good night, Amy. Thanks for watching.
Night, Amy.
We'll see you guys on Friday. Woo woo.